Don't you hate it when you're at work and you realize you didn't bring anything for lunch? No. And the last thing you want to buy is something unhealthy. Well, don't worry, because today I'm going to show you how to make healthy meals fast and easy. No cooking required. I'll be going stealth mode to the supermarket to buy the ingredients I need and show you how to make simple healthy meals in less than 10 minutes. But this isn't about the folks who are going to prepare their food. I'm speaking to the folks who aren't preparing their food. Going to the supermarket, want to eat healthy without having any kind of culinary cooking skills whatsoever. So we are here at the supermarket and we've gone incognito. Probably going to look at the salmon. Smoked salmon particularly is always a good option if you don't have a lot of time and ability to basically put anything together and you're on the run. This is what we want to hit. We want to hit about 30 grams of protein, 13 grams of fat, omega-3. I mean, look, nitrates are high because obviously it's preserved, but with that said, it's good for on the run. So we'll chuck that one in the bag. First item we have is the smoked salmon. The reason why I picked this one, if we have a look, it has a serving size of 180 grams. Per 100 grams, we have 24 grams of protein. So we're pretty good there. And fat total, 13 grams of fat. Now, omega-3, super high in omega-3. You want to have more omega-3 than omega-6. Your omega-6 are pro-inflammatory, your omega-3 are anti-inflammatory. So we can do a lot with salmon. That's why I picked it. Kangaroo meat stick, 7 grams of fat. Let's just have a look. Make sure we get the right one. We've got 9 grams, 8 grams of fat. Much of a muchness it looks like between these. 10 grams. Let's go this one. This seems to be the highest in protein. So 10 grams of protein and 7.5 grams of fat. So we'll get that one. And it's kangaroo meat, I'm pretty sure. Organic grass-fed beef. This one's beef. Fantastic. Next up, different protein source, beef jerky. I picked this one. It is organic grass-fed beef. That's a win. Protein-wise, this is a 200 gram bag. If we had half of this bag, we would have 40 grams of protein. That's pretty decent. Drawback is we would have 29 grams of fat. So it is quite a lot of fat. So we do have to watch our serving sizes with this one because there is quite a bit of fat. They recommend 25 grams. So if we had 25 grams, we'd hit 10 grams of protein with 7 grams of fat. Look, beef, great source of protein. Again, we're avoiding our omega-6s with this, so this is another delicious sauce going to fill us up. Another solid protein there. If you're at work, what you might do is buy a pack like this, or these are individually wrapped, so you could easily put these in the microwave. This one makes it very, very easy because you can just, there's individual packs, whereas this one, you just put in a bowl, eat, microwave it, away you go. We'll go this one. Can't say I love the microwave, but it's not the worst thing in the world. You could grab one of these bags, very convenient. So we'll chuck that in. Next, we're looking at our vegetables. Now these are frozen vegetables. So if I was gonna bring this to work with me, obviously you buy them frozen, you keep it out, it will thaw on the way to work. Then if we open this up, vegetables, do I really need to talk about the benefits of vegetables? Well, apparently I do, because there's the whole carnivore community that talk about not having vegetables and how vegetables are bad for you. Look, I don't believe vegetables are bad for you, but everything in moderation. These come individually wrapped, so we can pop this in a microwave. Look, I don't love a microwave, but if you said to me, choice between a microwave and having fibrous vegetables, I'm going to tell you to have your fibrous vegetables. Help you go poo. Fiber is a double-edged sword. Too much will cause you to be constipated. Not enough will cause you to be constipated. But high in nutritional value, vitamins, minerals, you need to eat your vegetables. That's why I like those. The other way we can do our vegetables is these, very similar. These weren't frozen. These were just kept refrigerated at the supermarket. So again, we could really just pop these straight in. I wouldn't microwave anything in plastic. Plastic leaches into the food and we don't want to be eating plastics. They're endocrine disrupting. So I would definitely open this up, put it in a bowl and then microwave it. Potentially these are 1 minute microwave. So these are probably you might not even need to microwave these ones specifically. I would give that a try, but that's the reason, just a different variation there. The other option we could go is fruit salad. This is looking pretty good. Already chopped up, ready to go. Carbohydrate wise, we're 18 grams. Depends whether we want a higher carb meal for our lunch or not. But for me, this is good. These are fantastic. So these are pretty dismal calories. 15 grams a pouch. You're looking at 15 grams of protein, 7 grams of carbs. This is a really good option. So 2 of these, if we want, when we can mix up the flavors, but 2 of these definitely going in there if we just want to get our protein in really, really easily. That's always a good option. The YoPros make it so simple. Let's see, in tomato sauce, these sardines. Let's see how this one is stored. 17 grams of protein, 8 grams of fat. I reckon we give this is in tomato sauce. We give some sardines and tomato sauce. We're in somewhat striking distance of where we want to be in terms of a height. Yeah, 14 grams of protein, 7.8 grams of fat. This is in spring water, so we'll try both of them. But this is a high protein fish snack that we could definitely do that has good fats in it. You know, your sardines have good fats. Fresh fruit, easy way to get carbs. This was in the supermarket. Very easy fruit salad. Let's just have a look, making sure that all that's in here is fruit. Yes, all that's in here. There's no additives here. So fruit salad, this has 18 grams of carbs. You've got the benefits of having vitamins and minerals attached to your fruit. That's why it's pretty self-explanatory, but that's more of your carb sources and your fibrous. So next up is our yogurts. I got 2 of these, 15 grams of protein per satchel. If I add them together, that's 30 grams. That's a pretty decent whack of protein per serve of one of these. Now, this is 15 grams of protein, and for the carbohydrate, it's only 5.7 grams of carbs. So this is a great choice if I'm on the run and really want to hit my protein goals. I've got 2 of them to make sure we hit our protein goals at 30 grams approximately per meal. Let's move to this here, which is the sardines, and I got 2 varieties of the sardines. This one I got, again, both of these high in omega-3, low in omega-6. Omega-6 is your pro-inflammatory, your omega-3 is your anti-inflammatory. We have here 17.6 grams of protein to 8.2 grams of fat, and carbohydrate 1.4. So as a protein source, this is phenomenal. And again, we spoke about having sardines over something like tuna. Tuna is high in mercury, regardless of whether you get fresh tuna or canned tuna. The other thing about cans in general is they do coat cans with BPA, which is bisphenol A. The sardines, they're small fish, generally swim lower in the water. Your big fish, like your tuna, are going to swim higher in the water. So that's why your tuna accumulates all the methyl mercury from above the water, and that's why tuna contains much higher amounts of mercury. And it's something like 3 90-gram cans of tuna a week would make a 90-gram man exposed over the safe level of mercury. You can look that up at if you Google mercury calculator or something like this, there's mercury calculators available where you can look at what the safe intake of mercury is. It's not all that much tuna that you can eat per week that would get you over the safe amount. Now, this is where people are eating tuna every single day for lunch or on the way to work or whatever it is. I would switch it to sardines, and I only have tuna a couple of days a week, again, because sardines, much lower in mercury. Again, high in omega-3, high in protein. Both of these varieties are great. This one is in the spring water. This one is in tomato sauce. There's the ones in the olive oil. The ones in the olive oil are obviously going to contain more fat. Not the worst thing, but we need to control for calories when we're having the sardines. But I think a better choice than tuna. People have the tuna because it's less fat. But again, remember with the tuna, you've got the mercury that you have to contend with. So you need to balance those 2 factors out. You likely have a 30-minute window to eat lunch and get back to work. And you don't want food that you have to be fluffing about preparing. These meals are designed to eat on the run, where you can eat, open, consume, and get back to work and get more of the good stuff and more of your day. To help you learn more about nutrition, I'm going to give you a free copy of my fitness user manual at the end of this video. It contains all the things you need to know about healthy eating, from what foods to eat to what foods not to eat. This, surprisingly, is like a quick carb snack, your popcorns, right? Like, popcorn's not too bad. It's gluten-free. This is pretty friendly on how much fat we're having for the carbs. It can fill you up a little as well, a bit of fiber in it. So popcorn's not a super bad option if you want to like snacky, as a more snacky type of food. If we look at the average serve, well, it's got 13 grams per packet, which is probably one of these little packets, and it's very negligible. Like, carbs is like 6 grams. So we could do some popcorn. Popcorn's not a bad choice in terms of carb, but a little bit of fiber, gluten-free. Just watch not going for like the sour cream varieties. Like, watch the variety, like the butter ones, what they put on the popcorn. You want to go for one that isn't jacked up with fat. So rather than getting these kind of pseudo health food chocolates, just go the real thing. Get dark chocolate, 85% or 80% and above. It'll help curb your cravings because of the cacao. Cacao is an appetite suppressant, so it'll help you not crave. Much better option than having something high in sugar. The next one up is probably going to surprise a lot of you, but this is popcorn. An easy to eat snack or something you can add from a carbohydrate. So, I could add this, let's say, for example, as a carb source. I've got my salmon, I've got my carbs. Let's say I've got my vegetables, I've got my fibrous vegetables, I've got my fat and protein, and I've got my carbs, right? I could mix and match the popcorn with different ones. I could have the popcorn, ideally not on its own, but I have it with a protein source. But I'm getting fat, I'm getting carbohydrates, I'm not getting a lot of anything else. So, and I can eat quite a fair bit of popcorn for the amount of carbs that's in popcorn. So, not that it's gonna like fill you up massively, but as a carb source, as a clean carb source on the run, it's not bad and it's fun to eat. So on this one, the reason why I picked it is we have 6.7 grams of carbohydrate for a whole bag. So one of these. So I could eat this. There's only 6.7 grams of carbs. Easy to take with me, easy enough, and really very negligible carbs, right? This is not a lot of carbs. It's not gonna, again, fill me up heaps, but a bit of fiber in there as well. Not a bad choice. Again, when we go through the supermarket, we look at other options that we have of carbohydrates. We've got lollies and we've got heaps of refined bars and stuff, and a lot of the stuff that we just don't want. We have half a bar and we're at 20, 30 grams of carbohydrate. We could eat 3 packets and we're still only at 18 grams of carbohydrate. So we just got a lot more, I suppose, spending space with popcorn. That's why I picked it, because you can do a few things. And the last one that's out of the bag is the dark chocolate. And we spoke about in the supermarket how there's a lot of these pseudo chocolate brands where they put a lot of sugar, flavors, additives, and they put a label on it that says basically that it's healthy. They call it health chocolate, where this is just pure 85% dark chocolate. Now, the benefit of cacao and the benefit of just raw chocolate, doesn't have to necessarily be organic, is that cacao does work as a natural appetite suppressant. So when we add this to our meal, yes, we're getting good fats, we're getting theobromine from the chocolate, which helps with mood, but we're also getting a natural appetite suppressant. So if we're always craving foods, we're getting the benefits. Also, there's antioxidants in chocolate as well. So usually I recommend about a 20-gram serve as a serving size, which usually is just like, they cut them into blocks, which is usually you break it off and that's a block of chocolate. So we could also do salmon, and we could have potentially 3 of these popcorns, right? And we've got our carbs and our fat. We could do the same thing with the beef jerky. We could add in some popcorn and potentially even add in some vegetables. We can always add in vegetables to really any meal. I think we can add in vegetables. Here we could have our tomato wild sardines on their own. There's a few different ways we can play this, and we can mix match, again, depending on our macro goals. But you can see something like popcorn becomes very, very easy to manipulate. We could add the rice cakes in. We could put rice cakes instead of popcorn. That's where we just kind of look at the macros and what do we prefer to be eating. For me personally, I like popcorn. It's easy to eat. It's easy to carry with me. I can eat multiples of these. On the run type of option. I'm in the supermarket, don't want to spend a lot of money, want to be in and out. Here are some options. All of these things are ready to eat on the run. You can eat them really anywhere, except for the vegetables, I should say. The vegetables are the only thing where you will need a microwave for. So a lot of people might be looking at this now going, well, this guy's whack. These, you've picked things that you don't essentially have to cook, but you're meeting macros. So firstly, let's talk about what are macros. Macros are your proteins, your fats, and your carbohydrates. And I'm trying to make this as simple as possible for people who are on the run. And obviously, every day of the week, I prepare my food, but this isn't about the folks who are going to prepare their food. I'm speaking to the folks who aren't preparing the food. Going to the supermarket, want to eat healthy without having any kind of culinary cooking skills whatsoever. And essentially a lot of this stuff don't need to cook or have a grade 1 prep level cooking skill ability. And when I say grade 1, it's literally you put this in a microwave and it says right here, you put it in for 1 minute and you're done. So what are your proteins? Your proteins really in each meal, you've got here is the beef jerky, here is the yogurt, here it is the salmon, here it is the sardines, and here again it is the sardines. That is your protein. Your protein is your building blocks, amino acids. That's going to help muscle development. That's going to help your muscles grow big and strong. So we are hitting our macros with these things, all in varying amounts. So again, with the beef jerky, we have a lot more fat associated with the beef jerky when we're having our protein. With the sardines, there's less fat in these ones. With the salmon, there's a bit more fat, but we've got the omega-3. Omega-3 is healthy fat. That's the anti-inflammatory fat, whereas your omega-6 is the pro-inflammatory fat. And these yogurts are basically just 15 grams of pure yogurt with 5 grams of carbohydrates. So the only downside of the yogurts is they won't necessarily fill you up. Something like a salmon will give you that satiety. And the reason why salmon gives you the satiety is because it has the fat in it. If this had the fat in it, you would feel a lot more full. But the reason why this is going to make you feel more full is because you're having fat. So you are having more calories. And calories aren't necessarily a bad thing, right? Everyone's going to eat calories. You need calories to fuel your body. And you do want a portion of calories coming from fat, and ultimately good fat. You want to avoid the bad fat, your trans fat, your omega-6, and have the good fats. This is why this is here. Let's look at the carbohydrate aspect. So the carbohydrate aspect eating these meals is here we have the popcorn. Here is the popcorn again. Here we have the popcorn again. Here we have the popcorn and the fruit. I mean, we could move this fruit over to this meal if we wanted to. We could move it over to this meal. We could match this depending on how much carbohydrates we want to have. There's about 20 grams of carbohydrates in this serving of fruit. Literally no cooking. The benefit of this type of carbohydrate, and the thing you want to understand about carbohydrates and why I've selected these carbohydrates over other ones, is if we have refined carbohydrates, that means things that have been processed. What happens when we eat glucose and sugar or carbohydrates? Carbohydrates gets broken down to its most simple form, which is glucose. Glucose hits our bloodstream, it goes up, our blood glucose goes up. So think about, in your bloodstream at any one time, you have about a teaspoon of glucose circulating. If it goes over that, a hormone from the pancreas gets secreted called insulin to wrangle that blood glucose down and put it either into the muscle or the liver or your fat cell. That does that because if you just had high blood glucose, your blood would caramelize and you would die. And that's essentially what diabetes is. Diabetes is the inability to release insulin from the pancreas to wrangle that blood glucose down. The reason why I've picked fruit here is because with fruit, you do have attached to it antioxidants, you have attached to it micronutrients, you have attached to a lot of good things. There's a little bit of fiber, not heaps of fiber in fruit, but a little fiber in fruit as well. That's why I've picked fruit over other things, and also food volume. If we did this in a bar, like a breakfast bar or something like this, I almost guarantee you for sure, you're gonna eat the breakfast bar, it's gonna be very small, your blood sugar's gonna go up, and you're gonna want another breakfast bar. With the fruit, you're gonna be able to eat a lot more fruit, a lot more bang for your buck, and there's gonna be a much higher satiety point, which means you're going to be able to feel fuller for longer, and that's why I picked the fruit. Now, finally, the one that you're probably thinking about is the vegetables. The vegetables are the only ones that require an ounce of cooking, which is your microwave, right? I mean, I ideally would steam them. I personally don't use a microwave in my cooking. I don't own a microwave at home. I only steam them. But if push came to shove and I was at LA airport where there's nothing around and all I had was a microwave, then I would be microwaving my food. And with this, fiber. Fiber is a double-edged sword. I know I've had gut issues in the past. You want to have fiber. So fiber helps you go poo. Not enough, you won't poo. Too much, you won't poo. With fiber, it's going to fill you up, super low in calories. That way you're not going to be starving and hungry. And the only other thing I need to speak about was the fat. There is no direct fat source here other than the chocolate, right? Which I would classify as a fat. The fat is contained in our protein in the beef jerky. The fat is contained in the protein in our salmon. The fat is contained in the protein in our sardines. The fat is not contained in the yogurt. The fat is contained in the chocolate. That's why I paired the chocolate and the yogurt together. But the thing about dark chocolate is that cacao is appetite suppressant. It helps us stabilize our appetite and also helps us feel good. The theobromine in chocolate helps our mood. One of the great things about chocolate as well is chocolate contains antioxidants. The reason why we need antioxidants is because we have these things as we age called free radicals. Think of free radicals as bouncy balls inside of our cell, just creating chaos. So what we want to have is we want to have antioxidants, which are kind of like collecting these free radicals, collecting these bouncy balls, cleaning up after the place so the cells aren't getting damaged. So that's why I like to include chocolate for mood, for hunger, for the antioxidant value, but above all, it's absolutely delicious, and particularly dark chocolate. If you don't like the taste of dark chocolate, it's probably because you eat too much sugar. Dark chocolate should taste delicious. Your palate may need to adjust. The way it adjusts is to remove the sweetness, the constant need for sweetness, and to appreciate the bitterness and the creamy flavor, I suppose, that dark chocolate provides. The next time you need a quick and healthy meal, remember these ingredients. For more information on food and dieting, download my free fitness user manual here. Until next time, friends, train hard, eat well, and supplement smart.